Hello, everybody. It's the weekend. It's Saturday. A little bit of a twist. Big thank you to Sean D and T&D for being here. Love you guys. Really appreciate it. This one is called Only 1 Million Left. 1 million what? It's kind of stunning that at about 13 days from now, literally, there'll only be 1 million Bitcoin left to mine. Think about that. There's about 63 million millionaires on the planet. If they all try to get one of those left, that's going to be mined over the next 120 years, they wouldn't even be able to do it. So it's just, I personally have been obsessed with the Bitcoin scarcity since 2017. And maybe I talk about it too much, but scarcity is everything in the world. So let's get into the story. Happy Saturday, everybody. And disclaimer, not financial advice. And shout out to everybody on Patreon as my voice fails from David Herbert. Thank you, James, for taking time on your Saturday to bring such valuable information. Love Patreon as well. Thank you for being part of the crew. And yes, we work 7 days a week. And we are like 12 weeks away from 5 years daily straight. Meme at the end around that too. First of all, shout out to Tom Lee. Tom Lee, he was on CNBS and he talked about supply shock, and kind of what he was talking about, it was kind of the inspiration for me digging into exactly where we are right now. But he said something very interesting. First of all, he said Bitcoin could hit 250K by year end. So we're talking, 13 weeks? Not a lot of time. I'll take it. I mean, yeah. We'll look at some other data points that could tell us where we go before year end, but also $3 million long term. That's also very interesting too. And I compare that. I've got this huge spreadsheet that I've been building for at least 7 or 8 years. And I've got all the price predictions noted by all the experts for all the different times periods and predicted periods. And it's wild. But 3 million by 2035 is theoretically very possible. But let's get into the key thing that he said that really got me thinking. So I must say, credit where credit is due. He said, what would happen if Berkshire Hathaway only had one share left to sell? What would it sell at? And I was like, good one. So let's check in on where we are. And I just checked in on the actual number of Bitcoin mined is wild. I was thinking we're about 19.75 million. I was off by nearly 250,000 Bitcoin. So excuse the typo there. There should be 0.533. Let's ignore that. But we're basically at 19,992,880 Bitcoin mined. And there's only, that comma should be a decimal point. There's only 1,007,000 left to be mined. Again, that 7,000 will be mined in the next 13 or 14 days, and then we'll get to only 1 million left. And that's where this thing really gets scarce and hard. And that is fascinating. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning, if everybody tries to get their hands on one, they won't. And I will be doing an updated whole coiner update, because it's not just, having a whole coin anymore. It's who has $116,000 to spend on a whole coin. And there's not a lot of those people anymore. People could buy it at 10 grand, 5 grand, 3,500, 15,500 bottom of the bear last time around. But coming up with 116K, actually, it's funny. Bitcoin's 100,500 higher than the bottom of the bear. It's wild. It's been a brilliant bull run, ladies and gentlemen. So for those of you who are depressed or upset that it hasn't been a good bull run, check your numbers. It's been bloody amazing. Shout out to everybody in the UK. Bloody is your word. Bloody hell. Anyway, let's look at some numbers and some charts. The Pi cycle top indicator says we are going to 194,500. Your global M2 says about 160, 165K. Tom Lee, 250K. But, things can happen really fast. And we're going into October and Moonvember. Historically, they're great. And we're up in September when it should be Rectember. Rectember, nobody got wrecked. That's a very bullish sign so far. Fingers crossed. How many days we got left? 10, 11 days. So we're going to make it. Also, despite everything that's going on, okay? People are like, nothing really happening on Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin saw its second largest inflow to accumulation addresses in 2025. Just now, they pulled in 30,000 Bitcoin in a couple of weeks. And this is the second largest, 30,000 in a day, not a couple of weeks, my bad. In one day, second largest day of inflow in this year, 2025. And the transaction executed over the counter is valued at $3.5 billion. Somebody is stacking. And obviously, game theory is going to kick in. We don't know exactly when. But if any nation states are looking to park some excess cash, listen, that's all you need to know is this chart, right? That's all you need to know. We're going to go into a level of hardness like we've never seen before. Ladies and gentlemen, somebody knows something's up. Somebody is stacking somewhere. And yes, because it's OTC, the price is not impacted, but don't be frustrated because eventually it will be, okay? That's what supply and demand does. And Bitcoin is also lagging the Nasdaq. Shout out to Nick at Econometrics. This is a cool chart. It shows the price of Bitcoin relative to Nasdaq 100 performance. And it normally trails, but right now it's at a 20% deviation, basically 20% below its implied fair value, which is approximately one standard deviation cheap. We like standard deviations here on this channel. We live by them. And historically, these gaps have emerged after drawdowns, but risk appetite is back. Stacking is back. ETFs are back. Biggest day inflows are back. And Bitcoin can mean revert quickly. Okay, now we have the rate cuts behind us. We are lagging gold. We're also lagging silver. It's only a matter of time before this thing pops off. And you're seeing it right now as well in the charts and the complete lack of volatility. Now, I'm not going to talk about gold this weekend, but I will talk about silver. I remember doing a synthetic long trade. I think silver was at $22.50 right when I started the channel in 2021. Anyway, interesting times to see that silver has quietly gone up to $43. It's doubled since last time I traded it. Anyway, it's on track for its highest close in 14 years. These are levels not seen since the 2011 commodities boom that happened after the global financial crisis. And if it holds, this breakout could mark the start of a new leg in the precious metals cycles. Again, gold popping off new all-time highs, silver popping off for 15-year highs, and a lot more to come. Guess what's next? Bitcoin, because many consider it a commodity too. Now, other stuff as well. You can tell that we are under accumulation because of extreme lack of volatility. We saw this, for example, with Tesla, and I made posts about it, how you can tell every dip is being purchased. And that puts us in a very tight range. We're seeing the exact same thing happen right now with Bitcoin. This is, shout out to Bitcoin Long as well. This is the Bitcoin 1 month implied volatility. It's at historic lows of 30.9%. And that sounds like a lot, but it's not for Bitcoin. It's actually a very quiet period. In fact, this is the quietest period we've had since 2023, which was called, I think, Stablecoin Summer. DBF, thank you, SEK, and everybody out there. I really appreciate you all coming. David W. Sunkicked, I like that. Aconda, like Anaconda and DBF in Australia. I really appreciate it. But this is what's crazy is, I think it was in 2023, we chopped sideways between 26K and 29K for what seemed like an eternity. And by the way, it drives people wild when there's no price action. When things are stagnant and quiet, it frustrates the hell out of people. Now, if you're a trader, I get that. But if you're just a buyer and holder, don't worry. Because the longer it chopsolidates, the bigger the pop, normally. If history repeats. But now you can see the two green patches. That was 2023. And then we had this chopsolidation period right now of where we are. And we know what happens next. It's just priming. It's priming up for, guess what? October. We'll see. Anyway, other craziness if things couldn't get wilder. Cynthia Lummis. Shout out to this cool politician. It's rare you'll hear me say she's a cool politician, but I think she's the coolest right now. She says, Americans are ready to upgrade our reserves from gold to Bitcoin And they can do this in a number of ways, like revaluing the gold they have in reserves, take that extra credit, stick it into Bitcoin, and get to where we need to be. I need to check that. I need to knock over my little kombucha. It's kombucha day. Probably why my energy is so good. Now, in addition, if things can get better, we had our rate cut this week, and we got 2 more in the box coming. And that's exactly what the market expected. And Bitcoin likes when there's no surprises. It's always the best outcome. And we'll see exactly what happens next. But remember, every time they reduce rates, the premium you get for your fiat goes down. So people are forced to go risk on because they're no longer satisfied with their paltry returns. And therefore, that money goes into the market, and that's good for Bitcoin. But it's not good for fiat. Fiat, US dollars, and probably similar to some other things out there. But 2025 is shaping to be one of the worst years for the dollar in the last 50. In fact, it's the second or third worst. I think 1972 was worse. We know what happened in 1971. That's when we flicked off the gold standard. That's when fiat became fiat, which is just press a button and it prints out of thin air, magical. Hands up if anybody has a fiat printer at home. Wouldn't that be nice? Anyhow, we're not going to talk about that. But that's crazy, you know. Dollars in the toilet, Bitcoin's ready to prime and pop, and it's scarcer than ever. What a good setup. And the US may revalue their gold reserves. So that's Bitcoin, and there's more to come. First of all, let's check in on DEX volume. A lot of stuff happening on DEX volume, perp DEXs, etc. I'll do a breakdown of that coming real soon. But Ethereum on perp DEX volume jumped not only hyperliquid, but also Binance in the last week. Solana still top dog at $33.8 billion of DEX volume. Ethereum at 23 billion. Solana has about 10 billion more. That's where people go to trade. But hyperliquid has come down quite a little bit as well. So we'll track this carefully. And everybody, we can say now with confidence, welcome to alt season. We have arrived, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a painful year. We've waited after a crazy late 2024. By the way, you notice the seasonal pattern, late 2024, Q4, always great for alts. We're going into the banana zone, Q4 2025, which will also be very good. But we did have, you can see here, the short alt season, late 2024. And we also had the short alt season, late 2023. Alts like Q4. That's it. And by the way, Binance just broke through $1,000 as well. That's really popping off too. Again, the biggest assets tend to run first. Obviously, Bitcoin first. Then Ethereum had their run. Now Binance is having a run, and we know what's coming next. Now, another proof point from Milk Road that all season is here. This is their chart from 2015 to present of Bitcoin dominance. And they have the little box that determines when Bitcoin dominance starts to break down. And once it breaks down, alt season kicks off. This is the rotation. If you know me, you know I talk about rotations all the time. Typically, after Bitcoin pumps, people take their profits and they go out in the risk curve. It's like, well, I just made 100 grand. Let's go YOLO into something even more risky than Bitcoin. And that's exactly what all season is. And you see it by the Bitcoin dominance breaking down. We had all season 1 in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. All season 2, 2021, or sorry, 2017, all season 1, 2021, all season 2. And all season 3 is right now. Again, they also tend to land around Q4. It's like the patterns are almost eerie the way they are so precise and so predictable. Shocking indeed. Now, other crazy stuff that's happening too. Now, 66% of wrapped Bitcoin, that's versions of Bitcoin. I don't necessarily believe in wrapped stuff, but 66% of all wrapped Bitcoin is now traded on the Solana blockchain, not others. So a lot of people do take their Bitcoin and they wrap it, and sometimes they stake it on Zeos or other players. So that's interesting to see. And Grayscale, they continue to sling poop bags. I made a video in 2021 criticizing some of their funds. And here they are again. They're creating a thing. They've got approval from the SEC to turn their GDLC, which is their mixed bag crypto offering, into an ETF. But it includes Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, XRP on Cardano. My question is, why? Why do they pollute those good 3 assets with 2 very bad ones? And that is Cardano and XRP. Literally, these chains have no adoption, both under 25,000 daily active users, which is nothing when you compare it to over 4 million on things like Solana. It's like ridiculous. They shouldn't even bother. And the people that are probably the daily users are probably people maintaining the bloody chain in the first place. Wild. Anyway, Grayscale, be Grayscale. Always not going to change probably at this stage of the game. And AI stocks are on fire again. Google up 6%, 2% for Microsoft, 7% for Apple. Big move for Apple. Tesla, 15%. Woohoo. Oracle, flat after a massive rampage as well. So yeah, it's also been wild. And everybody's talking about robotaxis. Tesla just got approval for yet another state. We know New York is next in the box, but they just got approved for Arizona Department of Transportation to begin testing its autonomous vehicles. That'll be like Scottsdale, Phoenix, all those places. Shout out to Marty Party, who is close to that neighborhood. But AV testing in AZ, I thought that was kind of cute. So thank you to Nick for this cool graphic as well. Please add New York the 6th, and then we'll see. I know they're testing in just outside the Bronx or somewhere like that. And speaking of AI, which powers FSD, the cost of intelligence is collapsing in real time. This is a chart of the cost to run intelligence index and a log scale and the artificial analysis intelligence index on the left. I think the cost on the bottom. But you can see here that XAI just launched a thing called Grok 4 Fast. And basically, intelligence is too cheap to meter. Looks like Elon Musk has very quickly not only unlocked the best model, the smartest model, but he's also now unlocked the fastest model. And it's 25 times cheaper than Google's Gemini Pro and blazing fast. And this is key here. We're watching the cost of thinking collapse in real time. The cost of intelligence is collapsing in real time. And yeah, Elon wins again. Late to the party, crushes everybody in a short window of time. Mad. But remember, now everybody on the planet can be a genius by just having access to the internet. It's a wild time to be alive. An absolutely wild time to be alive. And Elon as well, he's going to turn on cellular communications. He's taking the EchoStar acquisition of their bandwidth, or whatever they call them again, the airwaves that they purchased. And they are going to now go whole hog into doing satellite to cell phone communications and add a couple of 15,000 new satellites that are capable of just that. And a little bit of bad news. This is a cool chart. A shocking chart, actually, is how China's nuclear energy has gone to the moon and how basically Germany turned off all their nuclear energy. And yes, I remember as a kid, I grew up being very, very afraid of nuclear and nuclear war. Sasha, stop. Hey, hang on. Sorry about that little interruption. The dog. Nuclear can be quite terrifying and scary. But at the same time, we live in an age where the GDP of a nation is directly correlated to the amount of energy that they produce. Germany have stopped with their nuclear power. So at least they're good on the solar, which hopefully will offset the loss in nuclear. But just keep an eye on China, everybody. China's solar chart looks just the same too. Their coal burning facilities looks the same. They're just generating as much energy as they possibly can. It's wild. And welcome to a new section. This is called Orwell Corner. We see here that Vietnam raises 86 million bank accounts of non-compliant citizens who refuse the digital ID. We're seeing more and more signs of Orwellian control, digital IDs, turning off people's bank accounts if you do not comply. It's terrifying, everybody. Absolutely terrifying. So just keep an eye out for yourselves and your family and make sure you're not exposed to any of this crazy Orwellian stuff. Another thing that rattled the markets on Friday was the H-1B visas got nuked. Scott Bessent said they're now, or Lutnick, I think it was Howard Lutnick said, if you want a H-1B visa, it's going to cost you $100,000, which goes into their treasury, and hopefully they'll use that to buy Bitcoin. But I don't think this is a good thing because some of the best minds... Some of the best minds in the world do come from different countries. If you look at all the AI teams in the US, half of them are Chinese, okay? And a lot of the top Silicon Valley firms are run by people from India. You can see here 76% of all H-1Bs go to people out of India. So I don't think this is a good idea. I think considering you've had open borders for years and years, and many other countries in the world do as well, let these people in, for God's sake. Don't charge them. Anyway, enough of that. And finally, meme du jour. The most underrated skill in life is to keep showing up even when you don't feel like it. I want to thank you all for showing up. I show up every day. I want to thank Tindy Tesla and Sean Donnelly for always showing up. I really appreciate it. And all the wonderful people here in the chat too. Swiper No Swiping, Kenny the Great, Beatty McGee, George William, Silva Muster, and Soul Bright. I like that. Soul Bright almost. Thank you all for coming. Tomorrow I'll be back noon Pacific for the live Q&A. Some bonkers questions as well. People are getting kind of anxious about everything that's going on in the world and how fast it's changing. And we will be addressing a lot of those key issues as well. Big thank you everybody for coming. And I just want to share one slide again, just to repeat myself at the risk of sounding boring. This is wild. At least I personally find it wild. Remember, only 1,007,000 Bitcoin left to be mined over the next 120 years. Okay, we've never, ever in the history of the world gone into something so hard as this. So enjoy, everybody. If the laws of economics apply, price will go up. I promise you that. Thanks all, and have a jolly good weekend. Bye.